What the fuck is up, gamers? It is Feepis. You can call me Adam, though. We are here for something slightly different. Maybe not so slightly different. I'm not sure. This is kind of sort of the stuff that I used to do, but I need something to upload in between my Freakishly Bizarres. So today I want to look at an article I found while researching for a different video that just kind of pissed me off. I took a little glance at it, just a slight little peek, if you will, just to see what it involves, and it made me angry. So the article is called "This Man is a Pedophile and Proud of It." I do not support pedophilia in any way, just like any normal, sane person will. But let's just go ahead and get into this. I'm going to move my cursor. London, UK. Tom O'Carroll is a pedophile. Every 3 months, two police officers visit him at home in England, a condition of his 2006 conviction and imprisonment for distributing child pornography. They are always polite, he says. He keeps a blog because he cannot legally have sexual relationships with the people he wants most, children who have not yet reached puberty. He writes to relieve the frustration of unfulfilled desire and of living in a society that tells him those desires are illegal, harmful, evil, sick. Well, society's not exactly wrong. Society isn't wrong, Tom O'Carroll. Being a pedophile is pretty fucked up. I can understand being a non-offending pedophile. You don't look at child porn. You don't fuck kids or anything. You have a mental condition and you can't help it. That's what I see pedophilia is. It is a mental illness. Some people act on it and that's fucked. I think if you are a pedophile, you need to get help. That's just me. I don't know how other people react. I think pedophilia is fucked up. People, especially who fuck kids and look at child porn, are especially fucked up. This guy is a fucking monster, and he deserves to be locked up. Anyway. He believes this conclusion is incorrect. He believes there are children, even those of a very young age, who like and seek sex with adults. He believes that adults who want to satisfy this perceived need should be legally allowed to do so. He believes there are situations where it is alright for adults to have sexual relationships with children. That is a contradiction, I think. I think it's a contradiction. I'm not so sure. Children cannot consent to sex. So I don't understand. I'm not even gonna get into it. Let's keep going. He knows that this makes him a monster in the public eye. He would encounter such revulsion less if he kept these opinions to himself, as most of the few people who share them do. The sex offender registry in the United Kingdom is not as public as it is in the United States. No one has to know the most private thought of a gray-haired former teacher with ice blue eyes. The fact that this man was a teacher and he is a pedophile is terrifying to me. Because, if he's around small children or even high school age children, it's still terrifying that he has that access to indulging, I guess, into his super fucked fantasies and sexual desires. And the fact that the offender registry in the UK isn't as public as it is in the United States is I didn't know that, first of all. It's kind of scary to me because I feel like as a citizen you deserve to know who is a sex offender, because you never know, like your neighbor could be a sex offender and he could break into your house in the middle of the night and just fuck you away. I don't know. Anyway, but he cannot stop himself. For almost 40 years, Tom O'Carroll, 69, has been an outspoken advocate for what he sees as his right to desire children, and detractor of those who would oppress those desires. He has argued this position on television, in books, blog posts, and the comment sections of other blogs. He has logged volumes upon volumes of lupus, copiously footnoted prose. When officers failed to take notes during this last monitoring interview in January, he sent them as an unsolicited 5,000-word manuscript, clarifying and detailing his answers. the UK is grappling with major investigations of child sexual abuse, reportedly perpetrated and covered up by senior figures in institutions in the 1970s and 80s. This coincides with a seminal time in O'Carroll's own history, where his voluminous capacity for argument and extraordinary conviction that pedophilia is, quote, a power for good, found a momentary toehold in the public sphere. While others sort through the same anger and unanswered questions, he is among the infinitesimal population of people who looks back at a time and waxes knowledge for a golden era of pedophilia. Quote, this was the era of make love not war and so forth, he said. A general liberated atmosphere. Things have gone, as far as I'm concerned, steadily downhill since then in terms of sexual anxiety being greater and greater toward children. That quote alone pisses me off, because what he is basically saying is that let me backtrack a bit. What I am gathering from what he is saying is that pedophilia is becoming more looked down upon in society, and that pedophiles are having to live in secret, which I don't even know what to say about that. Anyway, the pedophile lobby. Before there was the internet and the alternate universe of pro-pedophilia blogs and forums where O'Carroll and like-minded people now congregate, there was a brief but singular time in British history when their views were allowed their closest ever access to the mainstream. O'Carroll was a chair of the Pedophile Information Exchange, a London-headquartered advocacy group that existed from 1974 to 84 to lobby openly for legal acceptance of pedophilia and to provide an international network for adults with sexual attraction to children. That is so fucked. Because again, what I'm gathering from this, and I'll do my own research after this about this thing, it's like a social media network in the early 80s, late mid 70s for pedophiles to just give out whatever they want to give to each other. I don't even know what to say about that. Quote, pedophiles do not use a child's sexuality. Pedophiles develop a mutual sexuality with the child. It's an entirely reciprocal relationship, former PI chairman Stephen Adrian Smith told a skeptical BBC interviewer in 1983. Oh my god, I don't even know what to say. The responsible and caring pedophile always refers to the firm wishes of the child. I'm not going to look at this interview. I don't really have time, and we have a lot to get through. The group billed itself as another front in the sexual liberation movement of the 1970s. Even in the age of free love, PI was considered a controversial fringe element. Staff and students protested O'Carroll's speaking engagements at universities, and many who spoke up in defense of the group's right to free speech expressed disgust at its agenda. From what I'm gathering, PI is the, quote, pedosexuality of 1974. If you don't know what pedosexuality is, it's people who advocate that pedophiles should be part of the LGBT community, which is terrifying, and it also would set back that movement decades, because for a very long time people have seen gays as child molesters and rapists. If pedophilia was allowed into that community, it would what's the word I'm looking for? It would make assumptions correct that people have. I don't know what word I was looking for, but it would give people the evidence that they needed to know that that's what gay people are, and that's damaging to a movement that has existed for so long, that has done so much. Anyway, where was I? But the group was affiliated with the National Council for Civil Liberties, now the respected lobby group Liberty. In a 1976 submission to Parliament on changing the law governing age of consent, the NCCL wrote, quote, child sexual experiences willingly engaged in with an adult result in no indefinable damage. Inidentifiable damage. That, oh god, like I said earlier, children can't consent. So having them grow up with like a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old having sex with a man that's in his 60s, That creates a fucking problem. In 2003, Liberty director Shami Chakrabarti said the group's past connections to Pi was a subject of, quote, continuing disgust and horror. Rightfully. Pi's existence coincided with a time in which widespread sexual abuse of children is alleged to have taken place at institutions across Britain tasked with children's care. Multiple police operations, several institutional internal investigations, and a national inquiry are now sorting through claims that abusers were allowed to access to children in institutions that were meant to protect them, and that government officials knowingly covered up their crimes. So I'm assuming what it means by children in institutions that were meant to protect them, I'm assuming that includes schools, because, I mean, realistically, when a child goes to school, they're supposed to be, I guess, in a safe space. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but I'm just going to assume that that's what they mean. I could be wrong, but it could also mean like the foster system and the adoption system and what have you. Anyway, Pi had at least physical proximity to power. During his chairmanship of Pi, Smith actually worked as a contract electrician in the Home Office, which oversees Britain's police and other security agencies. Smith kept Pi's files in a locked cabinet in his office, according to a biographical essay published in 1986 and quoted widely in UK media. His security clearance was annually renewed, he wrote. I don't understand the relevancy, but Pi's secretary Barry Cutler also worked in the Home Office, but was fired in 1983 when a UK tabloid outed his affiliation with the group. A Home Office spokesman would not confirm or deny either man's employment. You know, thinking about it, that is a huge issue, because if these two, I guess you could say important pedophiles, I mean in the pedophile community, if they, I don't know, that's kind of scary, because you have people that, as it says right here, oversees Britain's police and other security agencies. That means there could be pedophiles in security and police, which that's fucked. That's so fucked, because you have these people of super high authority that could be fucking kids and no one knows. A Home Office spokesman would not I already said that. Anyway, other members had high-profile jobs in the public and private sectors, like Peter Wrighton, a social worker, child protection expert, and consultant in the National Children's Bureau. Wrighton, who died in 2007, wrote openly in defense of pedophilia, even while working in child care homes in the 70s. That's so fucked. That's so fucked. How? Oh my god, how was he allowed? Oh my god. Police are now investigating claims that he was part of an organized ring of child predators that included high-profile figures from Britain's establishment. Last year, a retired police officer whose force arrested Wrighton in 1992 on child pornography-related charges came forward to say that boxes of paper seized from Wrighton's home contained evidence showing a, quote, definite link to establishment figures, including senior members of the clergy. Damn, that just confirms what a lot of people suspect about the church and pedophiles. I did not expect to get into this kind of stuff with this article. I just kind of expected a creepy looking man that I briefly looked at. Damn. The leads he passed to London's Metropolitan Police appeared to be shelved, Terry Shutt said, and Wrighton was let off with only a small fine. That's fucked too. At the time, there was a culture to protect the establishment that it was seen to be more important to protect the establishment than to deal with the individuals who may have transgressed, Shutt told the BBC. On Monday, an independent watchdog announced a formal inquiry into allegations that the Metropolitan Police deliberately shut down investigations and covered for the powerful abusers. I feel that we are the bullied ones, not the bullies. Oh my god. If someone... I'm not even gonna... I could get so heated about that. O'Carroll's blog reads like a parody of mainstream UK's media coverage of these events. When former Pi Executive Committee member Charles Napier was jailed in December for sexually abusing dozens of boys at the school where he taught in the 1960s and 70s, O'Carroll eulogized him as, quote, witty, charming, the life and soul of the party, who, for the most part, charmed the pants off of his mainly preteen pupils. That's fucking gross. Francis Wheen, a prominent British journalist who waived his right to I always have trouble with this word, anonymity as one of Napier's victims, he described as, quote, crybaby journalist Francis Wheen. Oh, my throat. Quote, I've been absolutely amazed by the way it's taken off, O'Carroll said of the current investigations in a telephone interview with Global Post last month. I feel we are the bullied ones, not the bullies. Protesters gathered outside the London building where Pi held its first open meeting in 1977. Members of the pro-pedophile group were pelted with eggs, stink bombs, and rotten fruit as they arrived at the meeting. Good. I don't know. On the phone and in email, O'Carroll is ingratiatingly polite. He describes himself as a moderate in the pedophile community, and that he does believe that there should be some laws governing sexual contact between adults and children. Forcing sex on a child is wrong, he says. So are acts that could cause physical damage to a small child. Forcing sex on anyone is wrong, not just children. But he maintains that certain types of sexual touching of children, quote, things that they would do with each other, should be okay for adults to initiate. Girls won't even get pregnant, O'Carroll said. There's literally no harm to it. He believes that the negative feelings sex abuse survivors reports years later, the depression, panic attacks, substance addiction, and self-loathing that can haunt people for decades are brought on by society's disapproval of the encounter, not the abuse itself. He has been I'm getting heated. He has been convicted 3 times for pedophile-related offenses. I am a great believer in the rule of law, he said. I don't happen to like the rule of law as it applies in certain circumstances, as it applies to me. Oh my god. The law is right unless it's oppressing me. In that case, fuck the law. Fuck the law, dude. Fuck it, dude. If it hurts me in any way, fuck it. In 1981, arrest for conspiracy to corrupt public morals through his Pi work resulted in a 2-year prison term. In 2002, he was sentenced to 9 months in prison after customs officials at Heathrow Airport found naked photographs of children in his luggage on a trip home from Qatar. The sentence was later overturned after his judge was found to have been more influenced by O'Carroll's longtime pro-pedophilia activism than the content of the actual images. O'Carroll served 2.5 years in jail after pleading guilty in 2006 to making, distributing, and possessing child pornography. Making. That is a key word. Making. That's fucked. What I'm gathering from that is that he took pictures of naked children and children performing sexual acts on each other, or other people performing sexual acts on children. That's what I'm gathering. That's sick. Has he ever had sexual relations with minors? O'Carroll wrote in a third-person outline biography. It is a possibility he has always refused publicly either to confirm, which could be dangerous, or deny. So he's basically saying that he has. That to me, that's what he's saying, that he basically has. His 1980 book on the subject detailed how an adult might initiate a sexual relationship with a child. Holy shit. Quote, the man might start by saying that pretty knickers the girl is wearing, and he would be far more likely to proceed to the next stage of negotiation if she seemed pleased by the remark than if she colored up and closed her legs. Despite being wrong about her intentional sexual seductiveness, he might nevertheless be right in gradually discovering that the child is one who likes to be cuddled and who thinks it's great to be tickled under her knickers. I don't even know where I'm going with that. O'Carroll called this a negotiation between partners. Sexual abuse experts call it grooming, the process in which a predatory adult builds a child's trust and confidence so that when abuse begins, their silence and cooperation is assured. Whatever. The very reason we have moral standards and criminal laws to support them in the area is because children are, by their very age and nature, vulnerable, said Donald Findlater, Director of Research and Development at the Lucy Faithfull Foundation, a UK charity that works with families affected by sexual abuse. They are less emotionally and physically developed to make the wisest decisions for themselves, or to understand the implications of a proposition brought to them by adults. For many people abused by a family member or other adult member known to them, this emotional manipulation is one of the most damaging elements of the abuse. Who doesn't like to be made feel special? Who doesn't like to be made to feel special? To get gifts, to get presents, to feel validated. That's what grooming is, said one 54-year-old woman who survived sexual abuse as a child. An extended family member began sexually abusing the woman when she was 4 until her teens. Having been conditioned to believe that this behavior was normal and rewarded with gifts and attention in return, I would have done anything for him, she said of the abuser. I don't remember feeling ashamed at first. She stressed that far from being enjoyable, this sinister manipulation is effective in ruining children's lives, right up into adulthood. She compared the feelings some children have for adult abusers to Stockholm Syndrome, the psychological condition where hostages develop warm, sympathetic feelings for their captors. You don't know how to break free from it, she said. God, this is a rough read, man. But we're going to power through it. We are going to power through it because we need to. O'Carroll hosts his blog on the U.S. publishing forum WordPress. He saw on social media that people have sent complaints about his site to the company, but WordPress has never contacted him, he said. The content of what Tom O'Carroll is writing does not constitute as an offense, the UK's Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre wrote in response to a complaint from child protection expert and former social worker Liz Davies, as posted on her site. He is stating his opinion, and although distasteful, he is entitled to free speech. His blog is part of an unsettling online universe of blogs and forums where adults air their attractions to children, and information exchange beyond anything the readers of Pie's homemade leaflets could have dreamed of. This site, like O'Carroll's, have no images. Users prod each other to remain within the law of their hosting server's country. Do not advocate or counsel sex with minors. Read the rules of the Boy Chat forum. This rule does not extend to philosophical, political, or biological discussions. Therefore, discussing whether or not one should be able to have sex with a minor is not a threat. I'm starting to get clogged. This is a very long article. From some posts, it is clear that the author is close to a child's family. They write of their nervousness of a parent's approach and the relief of learning the parent is only coming to thank them for watching or employing the child. That's terrifying. Oh, that's terrifying. A pedophile watching, not knowing that a person is a pedophile and allowing them to watch your child. I'm assuming, at what age do parents start leaving their children home alone? For me, I was probably in 7th grade. That's when I got a house key. That's when I would come home and be home by myself until my parents got home. So, assuming that a child is allowed to be left home alone at about 7th grade, 8th grade, which is what, 12, 13 years old? Anything below that? That's so scary. That's so scary. Oh, I don't even know what to say other than that. I'm around 90% sure there is something between us. That she sees me as more than just her friend. A user on one forum wrote of a 10-year-old girl. It's looking pretty obvious where this one is headed. Oh, God. Not all pedophiles share that sense of entitlement. There are people who acknowledge that they have sexual feelings for children, but recognize them as wrong. The Lucy Faithful Foundation is one of a few groups offering confidential outreach to such people so that they can manage their feelings without harming a child. See, okay, that's fine. I feel like that's good work. Having a foundation where you could allow pedophiles to, I don't know what the word is, where you allow pedophiles, I guess right here where it says to manage their feelings and impulses and whatever, and they teach them how to not act on it and how they can behave like normal functioning members of society who don't want to fuck children. I think that's good work, and I feel like that's I don't know what else to say other than it's good work. It's admirable in a sense, I guess, but let's continue. Those who have justified their impulses to themselves are harder to reach. Across these blogs and forums, there is a strain of righteous anger, of adults who see themselves as victim of a society that fails to understand the nature of their impulses. Do I have water around here somewhere? I am so thirsty. Apparently I don't. Let's keep going. Where was I at? Many abusers delude themselves to believe their behavior isn't depraved, isn't harmful, and can be positive in a number of ways, Findlater said. Findlater? Fine. I'm just going to say Findlater. Abusers groom themselves to believe it does no harm. This is true of some pedophiles, O'Carroll believes. He doesn't think he's one of them. It looks like we are almost done. Thank Christ. There have to be sanctions for those people who are wishful thinkers, and there are those people. There will always be people who do that, O'Carroll said. He agreed there is no way to know what pain an adult's choices will cause a child in the future, how an adult's intrusion might reshape the person the child becomes. It is the one point on which his language is anything other than certain. You just make a judgment as you do with anything else, he said. Many years later, you may get a different impression. You may get an impression that you were wrong before that. Okay, now that we are at the end, the thought that a person like this, the thought that people like this exist, I don't want to be mean. I guess I kind of do. If you look like this man, I'm sorry, but people that look like this are just that stereotypical pedophile. He has the smile, that little that I wouldn't call it a grimace. It's a grin. That little grin that pedophiles have in those eyes. The way he's looking into your soul, the way he stares directly into your soul. I don't get that feeling because I'm a ginger. I don't have a soul. But the way he looks into your soul, it's piercing. His gaze. He has the pedophile mustache and the grin and the haircut. Dude, I don't know what to say about this man other than the fact that he looks like a pedophile. It's scary. Of what I've gathered of this article alone is that it's scary. It's terrifying. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say after reading through this. If I had a message that I had to deliver after reading this article, don't support this behavior. Don't behave like this man. If you can help it, don't look like this man. That's a joke. But just don't support it. And if you see shit like this on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook, WordPress, or I don't know any other social media sites, YouTube especially, Vimeo, the Daily Caller is not social media, but if you see any of this kind of behavior on any social media anywhere, report it. Try to get it taken down because it's damaging. I understand that some people are gonna scream free speech and whatnot, but I feel at this point you are advocating for extremely harmful behavior, and if you see that, you should not allow that to continue because you are spreading a very, very harmful rhetoric. I feel like a really good example of what the effect of child sexual assault has on children. I feel a good example of that is in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I've never read the book. I've seen the movie about 15 times, probably more actually. I don't know. I can recite that movie as I watch it, and I'm not to the point yet where I can say it without knowing it or without seeing it. But watch that movie because it gives you a good example. I feel it's a good example. I don't think I know anybody that has been affected by this, and if you have been affected by this, I don't know if you heard that, but that was my Glade air freshener thing, and it's midnight, and that scared the shit out of me. Anyway, watch that movie. No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying, if you have been assaulted by an adult as a child, I am so sorry, and you did not deserve that, and that is just truly awful. And I hope, if that person's dead, I hope they're burning in hell, and if they're alive, I hope they got what they deserved. But as I was saying about the person being a wallflower, I feel like I should talk about it, but I don't want to spoil it. You learn throughout the movie about an experience of sexual assault by an older family member on a child, and you see the effects that it has on this character, what it does to their mental health, and they thought that what happened to that person was their fault. The person, I feel like I'm spoiling the movie, but they feel like what happened was their fault, and they were outcast from society, and they were in and out of hospitals, and this is definitely spoiling the movie at this point, but definitely watch that movie just for a really good insight, I believe, into what sexual assault to a child looks like and what it can do to them as they grow and age and what have you. I don't really have much else to say about this. I am going to say, though, as I'm closing out, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. It's been a crazy experience for me so far. I truly never thought I would get to this point. I've been making videos since May of 2014. I just hit my 4-year anniversary in May, I think. I could be wrong, of my channel. And when I went in, I was like, oh, I'm going to be this big 1 million subscriber channel. And for 4 years, I had 30 subscribers. Now, I guess that is a lot. But when I made the first Freakishly Bizarre video, I skyrocketed. And I cannot tell you just how thankful I am to all of you that have subscribed and how much you have actually changed my life. As of me recording this, I have about 53,000 views on my Christian video, which to me is absolutely mind-boggling, because 53,000 people have heard my dumbass voice, and they've listened to the words I've said, and they've watched the video I've made. And it's especially crazy to me because I don't know more than like 17 people. And I only talk to like 4 of them on a regular basis. I don't know what else to say other than it's absolutely insane to me. And I know that's like a stereotypical thing that a lot of YouTube video making people, I don't like the word YouTuber, YouTube video making people say, but to me I don't have any other words than that is just insane. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for 1,000 subs and 2,000 more. I would like to make a 1,000 subscriber special. I'm thinking a Q&A. If you would like a Q&A, let me know in the comments. I will post a link to my Twitter and my Discord and everything in the description, so be sure to check them out. The Discord is fun. I think it's fun. We post memes in there, talk. It's a good time. It's very relaxed. Come hang out. But the Twitter, I will put the Twitter in the description, and if you guys do want a Q&A, I will put a link, or I will make a post and I'll put the link in the comments, so be sure to check that out. But that's really all I have to say. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.